States government for its unconstitutional policies during the war. There was even the beginning of a reparations movement for internees. By 1976, people were ready for your book, and they read it, and loved it, and were inspired by it. And this should have been a wonderful moment for you, seeing your book republished and appreciated, and your passion for writing vindicated at last. But sadly, it was not as wonderful as it should have been, because you were dead. When you died in 1971 of a heart attack, at the age of 47, you still thought your novel was a failure. And I'm truly sorry about that. And I'm writing this now to tell you that it wasn't. No Boy has the honor of being the first Japanese-American novel, and among the first of what has become an entire literary canon of Asian American literature. You broke the ground for us, John Okada. And now, in 2014, we're celebrating you again. I just wish you were alive to enjoy this moment. Your book and I are about the same age. I was born a year before No Boy was published, and I hope you'll forgive me for not reading it then. But I had only just turned 1 and wasn't reading yet, and the book disappeared from the bookshops pretty quickly. When your novel was reissued in 1976, I was 20 and quite a good reader, but I'm afraid I still didn't read it. This is harder to explain, but the fact is that I wasn't very interested in the Japanese-American cultural movement at the time. I didn't think of myself as Japanese-American, even though my mother was Japanese and my father was Anglo-American. I saw myself as mixed race, half or half Japanese instead, and I was growing up in New England, where there are relatively few Asians. The whole Japanese-American cultural movement seemed like a West Coast thing, heavily defined by the internment experience. And while my grandfather had been interned and my mother put under house arrest, all those World War II stories just seemed like ancient history to me. Now that I'm older, I have a different perspective on time. But when we're young, we think time starts with us. When I finally did read your book, at the age of 40-something, I was stunned. I'd grown up in the shadow of World War II. I knew about the internment, and I had a general sense of the world you describe in the novel. But I'd never felt it before. Your novel made me feel it. The way you told Ichiro Yamada's story shocked me into realizing how profoundly shaped I'd been by the normative post-war assimilationist values that were so prevalent among people of Japanese heritage living in America, including my own family. This may sound unbelievable, but I'd never realized until I read your novel that a Japanese American could be angry, mad with rage, or just plain crazy. I thought the Japanese American emotional palette comprised more neutral shades: resignation, obedience, forbearance, sadness, nostalgia, regret. Reading No Boy reminded me that history, and in this case, a history I thought I knew, is so much more than just facts. For example, I knew that after the Japanese Navy attacked Pearl Harbor, more than 110,000 persons of Japanese ancestry were rounded up and incarcerated for up to 4 years, without trial or charge, in remote desert concentration camps. Over 60% of them were American citizens, like Ichiro, Nisei, born in America of Japanese parents. But that didn't matter. As Lieutenant General John L. DeWitt, head of the Western Defense Command, famously said, "A Jap's a Jap. It makes no difference if he's an American citizen or not." DeWitt was in charge of designating the areas from which people could be taken: Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, California, Nevada, and Utah. And his sentiment determined the policy for the internment. Since we can't tell them apart, imprison them all. I knew that the War Department required Nisei males like Ichiro to fill out a questionnaire